6 o'clock. This meeting is called to order. Mike, will you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, our first order of business is to approve minutes from previous meetings, and we will start with the meetings from our work session on February 10, 2014.
I move to approve those minutes.
Second.
It's been moved by Mike and seconded by Bill that those minutes be approved. All in favor? Aye. Those minutes are approved. Next, we have the regular Select Board meeting of February 10, 2014.
I move they be approved as written.
Second?
It's been moved by Bill, seconded by Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those minutes are approved. Announcements. The Select Board will meet on the following dates. Regular meetings at 6 p.m. on March 10, 2014 and March 24, 2014. Work review sessions prior to the regular meetings will start at 5 p.m. Candidates night will be at 6 p.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, February 25th at 6 p.m. and that will be at PSU's Silver Center in the Smith Recital Hall. This event is presented as a public service to the residents of Plymouth to listen and learn about their candidates running for public office, and we hope to see a big turnout for the event. Town elections will be March 11, 2014 at the Plymouth Elementary School. They will go from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Town meeting will be held on March 12, 2014, starting at 7 p.m. at the Plymouth Elementary School. All of these meetings will be held in the town hall, except those at the elementary school, as noted. Weather observations for the month of January are available in the town hall, and citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board agenda should notify the town hall before 12 p.m. on the Friday before the scheduled meeting. We do have a public hearing scheduled for 6:30 this evening, but in the meantime, we will proceed with the agenda. Moving next to Chairman's comments. I'd just like to draw the public's attention to a letter that appeared in the Record Enterprise this week concerning the Plymouth Area Community Closet. Due to cuts in USDA food drops and shortages at the New Hampshire Food Bank, the Plymouth Area Community Closet food pantry shelves are getting bare. More and more needy persons and families with less and less food to give them. Community Closet urgently needs your help. Groups, organizations, and individuals are asked to take canned and packaged food collections up and contact the pantry manager at 217-7227 for notification and any information. Thank you, and that was signed by Margaret Bickford, the Vice President of Plymouth Area Community Closet. Going on to committee reports. Neil?
The planning board met this past Thursday, and we had a public hearing at which the Riverside Landing developer Michael McGinley presented his application and for site work to be done at the site on Route 25 where the McDonald's and the bank are now. And after reviewing, we listened to the engineers, and they presented the plan and showed us their permits that they had from the state, and we approved the application, and subsequently we had a public hearing, and we had input from those in favor and those opposed. And afterward, we discussed the application and we voted to approve it. And it was 5 in favor and 1 abstention.
Approval or acceptance?
We accepted the application, and then we approved it.
Okay. That was the 2 separate votes. Thank you. Dick?
I don't have anything new.
Bill?
Nothing, I'm afraid.
Okay. Mike?
I don't have anything to report
Nothing.
either.
Okay. And the CCC meeting was canceled due to the weather last week. I believe the next one is scheduled for March 18th. Is that correct?
I'm gonna double check, I thought it was the
Oh.
25th.
Okay.
It's definitely not the 8th.
Okay. There is another CCC meeting scheduled for March, however, and it will be announced at a later Select Board meeting. Okay, moving on to new and other business. We have a letter to the Department of Transportation regarding Highland Street and Tenney Mountain Highway intersection. Is that?
Since I was gonna have Peter, but as you all know, Peter's still out sick. He's doing really well. He was able to stop by the town hall. But on behalf of Sharon, myself, the police chief, Peter, and any other staff member that's contacted DOT about the intersection and those lights, we have gotten nowhere as a staff. They're supposed to come down and do studies of the lights. There's supposed to be a right hand on red sign put up when you're coming east on 25 and you take that right down Highland Street. A lot of new people, especially from out of state or coming from Vermont, get confused on whether they need to stay stopped at that
Yep.
intersection. It is right on red arrow, but there's nothing to indicate that. And now our latest and biggest problem is some of our emergency vehicles, they all have the ability to control that light when they go through. Sometimes after we do that, the lights don't function. And we've been having to put 3 officers out there to conduct traffic. The state, as of a couple of weeks ago, put an override out there where we can now go to the box and put all the lights on flashing. But that's still not, that's still at the discretion of the driver on whose light is flashing first.
Right.
But, so
So you're
it's a big-
proposing that the Select Board send a
Yeah,
letter to
I think the governing
DOT?
body has to send a request.
How is it ultimately reset? So at some point, the lights function again?
Well, first, there needs to be a traffic study just to begin with. The timing of the lights don't seem to be correct yet, how traffic backs up.
Yeah.
Specifically, when an emergency vehicle goes in with an override, and you can reset it to flashing, eventually they go back to normal
No,
sequence?
not until DOT, no, we notified
Oh,
DOT, because I think it took 5 or 6 hours before they arrived the last time. We had 3 officers out there. Maybe some of you saw that.
I saw
There were
that.
blue lights at the whole intersection.
Yeah.
You thought there was a big accident, but it was just officers trying to slow down the traffic.
Sheesh.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's been happening almost every other time.
Wow.
I noticed that they have made a change in that right turn light, and it stays green most of the time.
Yeah, but I think it did it on its own.
Well, it never did that before.
Sympathetic light.
Sympathetic light.
It's
And-
all the people waiting.
So some things have changed. I mean, that other arrow that you're going west on 25, there's another arrow that's not consistent.
It
Right,
does seem like there's no real rhyme or reason to it.
yeah.
You know, some of those yard arms, you know, some of the spaces, the approach
Yeah.
is a lot further away, during a city planner. It's like you stop over here and the light is way over here, but if you don't stop over here, there's actually gonna be somebody cutting across the front of you. So I think the whole intersection
Used to-
needs to be studied, and it's gotta be studied by DOT.
Yeah,
And then, of course, the one that we get complaints on all the time here at the town hall is the right-hand turn coming onto Highland Street.
right. So,
I know the police chief has probably told a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
They can write
Oh,
on red
yeah.
there, but,
And he's contacted DOT,
yeah.
and
So, I mean, the letter needs to be kind of a twofold thing. One is to correct the immediate problems, and second is to conduct a study.
So I just think the immediate problem is we need a sign out there.
Yep.
The first, in order, get the lights functioning after a safety vehicle stops them. Whatever that's happening, they've got to look into it. It's got to be inside that box that we have the override.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing on the list would be the sign for right unread, coming east onto Highland Street. Then third would be the overall study again of the intersection, with the type of traffic that we have, especially in the winter time. Sometimes that line from Highland, going down to Highland Street to Tenney, comes up to almost Whole Family Village.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. I thought there had been an accident at the intersection once because the line went back so far.
It'll pass Burger King,
Yep.
and then what's happened, then we're obstructing traffic coming the other way, trying to get into Burger King. And I think some of that traffic has to be released quicker than, not all of it, but
Right.
it's like it's gonna be cut in half.
I mean, the light was put in relative to the bank and McDonald's development and other future development on that property. I mean, there was a traffic study done by McGinley at some point. He had traffic engineers that I assume coordinated with New Hampshire DOT on the timing and the sequencing and all those things. I mean, do they need to be brought in to this
Yeah, I think they
discussion?
have to come back, because they were out there after McDonald's
Yeah.
went into service. But I think the timing has to be changed. I don't think they got it right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know during the 24/7 clock, I don't know what portions of the day they checked.
Well, and I also don't think that, I mean, how can they anticipate what kind of traffic goes into McDonald's until it's fully operating and everybody knows it's there? I mean, it's been there for
Yeah, I
a
mean, they
few
should be able to
months
base some of that on McDonald's experiences,
Right.
but,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my hope is that the town doesn't bear any additional expense on dealing with this.
No,
'Cause,
it-
I mean,
it
it
won't-
sounds like we're eating some
Yeah,
budget.
Sharon and I have talked, they have always said we're coming out,
Yeah,
so,
now. They just haven't responded.
right.
So you're wanting, they know about
And in
this.
all honesty, when they are flashing, everything has been moving fairly well. But I'm not saying that's the safest way of doing it.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen those long lines that we're seeing when they're functioning.
Could have put flashing lights in for a lot less than $1 million or whatever it cost.
And I think there's a little bit of timing off that needs to be adjusted between the entrance of Hannaford versus what's happening at that intersection. I think that's part of the impact, when that light releases traffic towards that intersection. Not going the other way, not going east, but when it's sending traffic west to the next intersection, I think that might have to be synchronized better than what it is.
It's kind of a
Yeah.
bottleneck, isn't it?
I mean, anytime you get a new, I mean, that's a complicated intersection, there's a lot of turning movements. I mean, there's some tweaking, but, I mean, it sounds like it's some pretty significant issues, especially if
Yeah.
the override for emergency causes.
So the biggest two would be
significant
the
problems.
right-hand turn and the long line going onto 25.
Yeah.
As far as the tweaking. Repairing, they're constantly not functioning properly. And they do seem, I know, we just noticed that PD, they get out of sync. Those arrows are getting out of sync. Now, whether they're timed to do something different at a different time of the day, I can see that very possible, but sometimes just a caution arrow
Yeah.
is on. So then I thought, well, it's because of the time of day, they must have set it up that way so just a caution light's on that time. You go by the same time the next day, and it's functioning again.
Yeah.
I think when it's stuck on caution, I think it's stuck. I don't think it's purposely being set that way.
So DOT has been sent a letter, and we're
They
just trying to
have-
reinforce
no,
that?
They
or-
have been
They've been
contacted
contacted.
by Paul and by the police chief and by highway, but they're asking us to send a letter with the same stuff. I don't see any reason not
Yeah,
to.
that'd be a good idea. And I think, I mean, I'd say we need to get McGinley's, because, I mean, they're the ones that probably recommended some of these sequencing and timing factors, and we need to make sure that they're coordinating with DOT.
But it's DOT that installed the stuff, so it wouldn't be them that would be fixing it for us, and they've said they'd come out, they just
Yeah.
haven't.
Got to get them out.
So who will you,
Yeah, we'll get something, because I want to talk to Steve
yeah,
and make sure that his concerns are,
Yeah.
okay.
if there's something besides the signage.
Can we have DOT pay for the offset for the detail that we supply for the 3 officers out there?
In all honesty, I think they may have
Oh, yeah?
on the 6-hour one.
Really?
I'm not positive.
Huh. Well, good.
Start to add up.
Okay, we still have a few minutes to go before our public hearing begins. At this point, I would invite any public comment.
On that intersection light issue, I've noticed when you're coming east on 25 and you're gonna be making a right to Highland Street, if you are coming up to the stop line, you know, the lights, the colored lights, green or red, are really high up, and your tendency is to be looking left to see you're gonna yield, and there's no any conflicts of a vehicle there, but the light is I think is excessively at the wrong height for the stop line. So,
And now that Frank mentions that, I think another concern that Steve has, I think he needs one of the lights turned. I think it's the same right turn on Red Arrow. That needs to be turned a little bit more facing the traffic, the oncoming traffic, so that the other people aren't getting confused across the street.
So that's the same light that Frank is making reference to?
yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
use-
not only the height, but I think the angle.
Right. The other thing is like the intersection at Shop and Save, you know, it's yield, you know, you right turn on red, but obviously you yield to traffic that's got the light that turns into it. And I think it needs to be a sign, and maybe even across the road, so that you're actually looking, you're keeping your eyes down, looking at your traffic, and then you can see, you know, where, if you've got clearance to go, even though a right turn on red, you need some kind of indication.
Since we're talking that light, actually, to Frank's point, I actually went back to check because someone almost hit me when I took a right on that green, and the light was green, so the right-hand lane, it was not right on red, it was green. But you have to realize that the traffic going west has a flashing yellow left turn, which means turn with caution, and they're yielding to you, even though you're not really turning right. You have the right of way at that moment if your light is green. But if people aren't paying attention and they're seeing that flashing yellow line, I was really shocked when I had to put my brakes on because somebody just pulled right in front of me, and I said, that can't be right. How could a light allow that to happen? So I went back, and then I saw that you actually have a flashing yellow left turn light if you are heading west on 25.
Sometimes.
Oh, that's even more frightening.
And that's the same arrow that I'm talking about. Sometimes it just gets stuck on caution, it's not flashing,
Okay.
and sometimes it's going through the whole sequence. of
Yeah, because
red-
it flashed
red, yellow,
and then it
and-
went to red. So it was like you can turn if you think you can, but that's a little unnerving if you don't know what it's going to happen.
Is it a game of chicken or?
Well, it felt that way for that moment. But, and off the light subject, the next CCC meeting is March 25th.
March 25th, the
March
next
25th.
CCC. Thank you. All right.
Madam Chair, officially, we have our public hearings whenever they're on a Board of Selectmen site at 6:30. And we had discussed having it at 6:15 when they fall on Board of Selectmen nights. So if we have a slow agenda, we're not having dead air for 10, 15 minutes.
I think that's a good idea.
That would take a vote.
All right.
Because that would be our official time to have a public hearing when it falls
Okay.
on a day that the board is meeting.
Well, and in cases where we have a full agenda, we still
It's
break.
not gonna mess.
It's not going to change anything because we always resume after the public hearing's completed anyway,
Right,
so
it's
it
not
doesn't
gonna change when we end the night.
So could I have a motion to change the official time of public hearings that are conducted during select board meetings from 6:30 to 6:15?
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved by Mike, seconded by Dick. All those in favor?
I was gonna say, maybe we
Yes.
should discuss it for a
Yes, is
while.
there any discussion?
We got 10 minutes.
Will actually effective immediately, or is that your motion? Or-
That would be effective with the
No,
next.
it's not effective immediately because this,
Good try, though.
this hearing was announced in advance at 6:30.
Yep.
So I guess it would be on the next public hearing.
The
for which
next
there's
time we have a
process.
public hearing.
Other than that, I can't think of any other comments to make, so.
All right,
And I think everybody else voted anyway, so I'll vote too, aye.
all right. So that has been approved. And we now have about 9 minutes before the 6:30 public hearing starts, so I would say if anybody wants to take a break, we can just stop television and,
Take an 8-minute break.
yeah, take an 8-minute break.
Commercial break, right? Yep.
unanticipated funds from a Homeland Security grant for the purchase of a generator for the town hall, previously approved at town meeting 2012. Paul Hatch, please come on up.
Madam Chairman, board members, it's a pleasure to be here again. You've probably seen this grant document ahead of time, but this is an instrument, a contract between the town of Plymouth and the state for a FEMA Emergency Management Performance Grant to fund half the cost of the generator for the town office building, which also serves as your emergency operations center. Project cost is $52,000. The grant will fund $26,000. The town will match that with $26,000 in cash. And the money sitting there, it just is just the instrument so that we can disperse the funds to the town. But as you know, we have to have a public hearing to answer any questions or hear any comments from the public.
Excellent. So are there any questions or comments from the public concerning this grant?
Yes. How long is this designed to run on the fuel reserve? Is it a week generator or 30?
It's a 1 week.
One
It's
week.
the same as we have up at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
That's diesel, and you can replenish it.
Yeah.
Any
It'll be
other-
sitting right outside here, next to the, somewhere in the vicinity of the air conditioning down low. I think it's gonna really change the aesthetics of anything on that side of the building.
Does the 52,000 cover the acquisition and the installation as well?
Everything. Yeah.
First tank of fuel?
What?
I have a question about the generator. Is diesel more efficient than propane?
You'd have to ask a motor guy about that. We fund both kinds of generators, propane and diesel. That's the community's choice as to how they want to.
Are diesel more popular?
No, we do plenty of propane as
Half
well
and half?
too. Yep. But we leave that option up to the community. It's their choice.
I can tell you in emergency management, we try to be consistent with what, I think we'll back me up on this, on what we all do, including the schools. So that when we have to get that fuel,
Traded
we do
around.
have a supplier that has a generator himself that can supply us during the loss of electricity. So what we can get, it's easier for us to get diesel when everything is down near than some of the other options that are out there. So we do consider cost, but availability is a lot too. Because you gotta realize, we never get to use these things during good times.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any further questions or comments? There being none, I will close this public hearing and ask for a vote or a motion from the board to accept the unanticipated funds from the Homeland Security grant for the purchase of the generator.
I would like to make that motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mike, seconded by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion is approved unanimously.
Thanks for coming up.
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much
Thanks.
for coming up,
This
for
is
all
my-
your help in so many different things.
This is what
Do
we
you have
do.
a card?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, and our signatures, we've
Sure.
got signatures. Where do you want my signature here, Paul?
You would sign on the left and then print your name and title on the right.
Okay, so we just do three of us.
Just 3 of the
signing
5.
this,
Yeah. You
Okay.
can arm wrestle over who gets to. And then down at the bottom, there's 3 spaces for initials. So you-
Pass this over.
So we, 1, 2, 3.
3, yep. So if you want to sign on the left and then print name and title on the right.
You want to sign this as your last big
Just need
official
3, is that
document.
what's going
Whoever gets it first.
That's what I was thinking. I said, Jack, you
Should I
should have
put
signed at least
selectmen
one more
there?
thing.
Sure.
Oh, I've signed a bunch of stuff, yes.
Oh, I did.
Should I put it at, I'll put it after Val's.
Yeah, you can pull that right up.
What did you put on Miles?
I just put comma selectmen,
Yeah.
because you wanted it to say and.
Oh, and then there's a
Title.
space for initials at the bottom. If you can
Oh.
just
That's why you really came.
Sorry, guys.
Get the thing signed right.
Oh, it's like a mortgage, and let me tell you, if you go back and there's something, just one little thing out of place, they send you back.
Are you seeing changes in the federal funding that you get?
Some programs are being affected. This particular program isn't. For some reason, they see the value in these preparedness grants,
Yeah.
and so the funding has remained
Good,
constant. Some other programs, not so fortunate.
Like the Pentagon?
Mitigation still seems to be strong.
So you said initial, I think you did this was.
I mean, if you can spend a little to save a bunch later, that's
Yep.
that's a good
If you can
thing.
date for them.
Okay.
I hope you guys don't feel left out here, do you? It looks like
No, no.
You can sign the back.
it's on the back. I bet the form was
County
made
craft
when there were
and bond.
only three.
3 selectmen.
Yeah.
Do you want us to date them too, or?
Well, Karen's doing that.
Okay.
Sign.
Right
I
there.
think I
And
got
then your
them
seal
all.
goes there and your stamp. Oh, you don't have a, you don't
Yeah.
have a squeezy seal.
Yeah, I
so
don't have a
just that.
squeezy. Yep.
Okay.
It's the hope that this project will be finished in the springtime.
Excellent.
Electrician's already ready to work here and at the oil house.
Great.
So
We'll
this,
have it before next hurricane season.
so this will go before governor and council, probably in 2 to 3 months,
Mhm.
and then we'll give you the thumbs up. And say, yeah, it's been approved. By then, the ground should be thawed out anyway, so.
Right.
Is this supposed to be expended like this fiscal year, the state fiscal year, or does it like a year and a half or whatever?
The grant expires in September, so you'll have plenty of time in between spring and summer to project installed and done.
Is it 2 to 3 months before it goes to G&C?
Yes. Yeah.
Just got to get on the agenda.
Right, and then there's half a dozen agencies that have to look at it and touch it and bless it before it lands on their table. Red tape, you know. But
Oh, come on.
That's why we didn't even pour
Happy
the
with that?
pad.
Yeah, would you?
Say again?
That's why we didn't even pour the pad.
Yeah,
Some
right.
towns have been stopped dead in their tracks because they
Yeah.
have gone out and, especially with the historical building,
Yeah.
poured the pad and then the second picture didn't match the first picture, which wasn't a pad.
Wow.
one more.
Do you reuse those?
No.
No.
It's just,
You don't reuse those?
Let's give them one.
you want
We do.
They're not paper
I
clips.
used to
you know.
work with the state, we used to reuse them.
Well, he would have to put them all together neatly, put them in his pockets.
Yeah.
It'd to be quite a project.
I used to carry a piece of cardboard around just so I could stick
Oh,
them
come
up.
on.
Do you want to take a copy of these tonight, Paul, or you want me to scan it and send it to you? Or?
Make a copy of it. Oh, it's already posted.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna make copies.
Very good. Very good. We thank you for your time and your support of this
Thank you very
project.
much.
Coming up, Paul.
Pleasure, anytime.
See you.
Thank you.
Concludes the business of this evening's meeting, so I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by Neil, seconded by Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.